end rough sleeping for good. The government said it wanted to do just that during the pandemic, but local homeless charities are saying the problem could be about to get much worse. This morning, we're going to hear directly from some of those who have been sleeping on the streets of Wiltshire. People like Henry. Last winter, Henry was sleeping rough in Devizes, having been deemed to have made himself intentionally homeless by fleeing what he describes as a drug den he'd been living in elsewhere in the country. Well, he's now doing a work training course in Chippenham, where our political reporter Dan O'Brien met him on his lunch break.
I lived at the wharf in Devizes for some time, on a gangplank, because it had a sign in front where you could hide down behind, and it was dry, but it was open to the elements. I mean, some nights beyond cold is you can't explain it. It's scary, it's isolating. Once it gets dark and everybody else has, gone to their own homes, the whole place feels like it's deserted, and you feel like you're the only man left on the planet because you sleep with one eye open. So I would not recommend it to anyone, that's for sure.
I cannot imagine, but that moment when one of the outreach workers, very early hours of the morning comes and wakes you up and says, do you want a bit of help?
Yeah, it's sensational. You think, it's not happening. I've been here for months, and then suddenly everything happens so quick. Once you're noted, once they've come and seen you, it's from there to your flat. Takes no time at all, and you're looked after, and you're told what's happening all the way through. I had help with deposit because I had no money. I had help with rent up front because obviously I was skint, and they've taken care of everything for me, and couldn't thank them enough.
And you're now at the point where you're training to get back into work for the first time in many a year.
36 years. Loving it. It gives me a purpose in life. I'm making new acquaintances. I'm learning lots. The tutors and the staff here at Go Train are just fabulous, and I recommend it to anyone. If you're stuck in a rut, get in here.
Because this centre, Go Train, is a place that specialises in helping people who've been out of employment for a long time and have no immediate prospect of getting a job.
Yes, and people like me with no computer skills as well, so they're fabulous.
I know there's been a lot of talk in the pandemic about maybe even ending rough sleeping, managing to give people a chance.
I don't think you can eradicate rough sleeping because some people do make it their choice. I didn't choose it, I just had to go through it. It was the only way forward for me. But it is horrific, it is absolutely terrifying. With nowhere to go, it's scary.
At this time of year particularly, I think it's in a lot of people's minds if they see somebody sleeping rough. When it's so cold outside, you walk past and think they really must have nowhere else to go. How are you treated?
Bit like a leper by some people. Some people would, move their children away or guide them in a different way. Don't look there, Other people would come across, some people would put their hand in their pocket and offer you a cup of coffee or a sausage roll. Some people would just say hello as you walk by, but you feel low because you're sat there with nothing more than maybe a bag in a shop doorway. It's raining, it's cold, the wind's bitter, and you're sat there because that's the only place where you can stay dry. It's not a very nice feeling. Horrible feeling.
I know a lot of people have a real dilemma when they see somebody sleeping rough of what's the best thing to do to help. Should you give money? Should you give food? Should you just say hello? What do you think as someone that's been in that position?
Firstly, it's always nice to be noted. So if someone takes the time to speak to you, that's going to make their day. Secondly, you might not feel comfortable offering them money, but sometimes they might just need a cup of tea or, a sandwich because they might not have eaten that day. But don't ignore them because you don't judge their circumstances. You just judge them because they're there, but you don't know what's gone on for them to be there.
Former rough sleeper Henry talking to BBC Radio Wiltshire's political reporter Dan O'Brien in Chippenham. Well, dozens have been helped like Henry, but later we'll be hearing concerns that those still on the streets need much more help than they're actually currently getting, and that the problem is likely to get worse in the coming months. But let's now speak to Go Train, the organisation you heard Henry mention there, the one that he's used to try and train up for his first job in decades. Stephen Wines is the chief executive and with us. Stephen, good morning.
Good morning.
Listening to that, it's great that some people can be helped, but it's kind of worrying that, people like Henry are saying that it won't be eradicated.
Yes, I mean, I think we can see the impact of COVID on everybody's lives at the moment. We're all aware of it. Your article earlier on, you were talking about the impact on activities. But, for Henry and people like Henry, I mean, changes in personal circumstances, health issues, employment issues can have a massive impact on their lives, and it can be really devastating. And, every year we see thousands of people from every walk of life who, because they've had a change in circumstances, often because they've become unemployed, they begin to think that life is desperate. But the point that we try making Go Train and working with other agencies like Open Doors and Outreach, Wiltshire College and the Council of Wiltshire, is that help is there. We can work with people and relatively quickly, in a matter of 1 or 2 weeks, we can help people re-establish their self-esteem, get back to work, and with getting back to work, it brings back all those other sorts of benefits that people take for granted, a sense of self-worth, a sense of how you fit in with society. And that has massive positive benefits for people once they get a new job. And we can see that with cases like Henry and lots of other people who are recently unemployed, people who want to need skills like IT. They may have loads of other skills, but because they don't have IT skills, they're locked out in the modern job market. People who have other issues like homelessness or addiction. Or people that just, have had a change in circumstances, divorce or something like that, which can suddenly really throw you off kilter. So, we work in partnership with job centres at Go Train, and we help thousands of people back every year. And the stories like Henry's are absolutely inspiring. But the thing I really wanted to make clear is that help is there for everybody. The training that we offer is funded. It doesn't cost people anything. They need a little bit of time, maybe 1 or 2 weeks. And opportunities are there. We have the job opportunities. They're on our website, and people can find them also at the job centres. And we can train people and get people back to work in 1 or 2 weeks.
And I love that positivity, Stephen. Do you worry deep down though that we are in for a few difficult months?
Oh yes, I mean I think if you just have to look around you at what's happening, look at the closed up shops, look at the impact on hospitality in particular, and yes, it's going to be tough. But I think that we have to support each other. I mean, Henry said, don't walk on by. Actually, as a community, COVID is decimating communities, but we can recover this. And I think by supporting each other, there is. The good thing is there is funding there. People think that they're on their own, but they're absolutely not. There is support structures there to help people back into work and get their self-esteem back, as well as other things in terms of helping with addiction issues or financial issues.
Stephen Wines, thank you from Go Train. More on that very, very important matter that affects us all, really. If you've got a great society, everybody's going to have a chance, haven't they? People like Henry there. Dan O'Brien back with that special report after 8 o'clock this morning. It's now 7:15.